Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get those questions in. Hope you're all staying warm.
I was going to say, sorry we're late starting. I had to put my snow plow in the garage.
Let's actually jump over to that. I'm going to show them what it's looking like in your neck of the woods this morning here, Jerry.
I mean, yeah, this is Houston, Texas, and on January 21st at about 7:55 in the morning.
The command center is sidelined.
Yeah. If anybody want me to broadcast from the car today can go fly a kite.
That's my parents' house down in Houston. Look at that. Unbelievable. I think, I grew up in Houston. Jerry, you did too. I think I can remember one snow day in my career and in Houston as a youth, like one. Yeah. That's clearly a snow day in Houston, Texas, guys. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And Joe Z's living up in South Dakota making fun of all of us, and I get it, but we aren't built that we're not built for this. I'm just hoping the power stays on for this whole show right now. If I just drop, it's not like it just expect it.
Rod, last night on the watch with us for the national championship game, Rod and CJ were saying it was sleeting in Austin. There's somebody talking about it being really icy in Jarrell. That's in between little town between Austin and Waco. That's interesting. What about in Comanche, Blake? What's it like up there?
So we got just a little bit of snow last night, but it never really stuck. So it's just cold, windy, and the wind chill, I think right now is like 8 degrees. So it's just miserable is all it is.
Yeah. We'll get over it. Hey, good football game last night. I thought it looked like it was going to be a rout, and then Ohio State kind of let them back in there in the second half. They were up 31-7, Jerry, and they had scored on 5 of – I think they ended up scoring on 6 of 8 possessions. Is that right? No, 5 of 8 possessions. 6 of 8 possessions. They only had 8 possessions. They scored on 6 of them, but Notre Dame made it a game by scoring twice and connecting on 2 two-point conversions, not unlike what Arizona State did to Texas a little bit. But Buckeyes had a final drive where they put the nail in the coffin with a field goal late. We had a good time. Jerry, myself, CJ Vogel, and Rod Babers had some things to talk about last night. Hope you guys were able to join us because it was a lot of fun.
Look, I mean, the most talented team won the national championship. Them, Georgia, Texas was thrown into the mix, but I really think Ohio State was still a little more talented than Texas. Maybe even Georgia, but Georgia kicked their best receiver off. The guy they took out of the portal was going to be a big time guy for them, didn't play either. So, I mean, they took some self-inflicted hits. The most talented team did win the national championship in college football. And was Michigan the most talented team last year? Probably. If you look at the NFL draft, they were. And we'll get to some stuff on that coming up. But the most talented team in the country won. The most talented team in that game won last night. They're just littered with NFL players. 10 of those starters on defense will play in the NFL. 10. Actually 11, but only one will be back next year for the Texas game, which we'll get to. All 11 of those guys will play pro football, in my opinion, or be in training camps or whatnot. They may not all make a team, but they're going to have probably 9 or 10 guys drafted off that defense.
Bring that up. Bring that tweet up, Blake, that you have on Ohio State real quick. Dade Brugler. The record for most picks in a single NFL draft is Georgia with 15 in 2022. Right now, my realistic projection for Ohio State is 16 draft picks in the 2025 NFL draft. We're seeing that play out on the field so far tonight. 16. And we've been talking about Texas having anywhere from 12 to 13 or 11 to 13, really. There's Ohio State. The other thing I would add to that, Jerry, skill position talent. Older. The 2 running backs they had really were how do I want to say it? They were a great equalizer for teams that tried to really load up and force Will Howard to beat them. Right? I mean, because that was even though Will Howard had a great game last night, was 17 of 21, something like that. even though they tried to load up to beat, you do that, and then you have Quishon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I just thought that it was a really well-balanced attack. And then you have a guy on the outside like Jeremiah Smith. Ambika Abekwa, by the way, is going to end up being the all-time leading receiver at Ohio State with 200-something catches, Jerry and Blake.
Mm-hmm.
The all-time leading receiver at Ohio State was never receiver number 1 at Ohio State.
That's crazy.
Marvin Harrison, Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
That's a talented freaking receiving core, right? I mean,
yes.
So they had, it played out on the field. It really did.
I mean, look, and they are a team that, and I agree on the running backs. I think they had the most complete offensive team as well.
Yes.
I mean, look, they have every receiver will play in the NFL. 2 running backs will play in the NFL. Offensive line will have multiple guys. Even though they're injured, they were essentially starting 4.5 guards at the end of the year. Donovan Jackson had played tackle in the past some, but, they scored 42, 41, 28, and 34 in the playoffs. That dog will hunt. I know everybody talks about defense, but you got to score the ball in sports now because all the rules are made for it. But, it's interesting. The other interesting thing about that game is if you listed the best quarterbacks at Ohio State, Will Howard walks away with the national championship. And where
but not CJ Stroud.
Not CJ Stroud. I mean, Kyle McCord will be higher on NFL draft boards than Will Howard. And just think about all the guys that have come through Ohio State. And where would he rank? He's got a title, though.
Hey, you don't have Cardell Jones has a title.
Yep.
Sometimes you have all the pieces around you. We talked about this last night a little bit. Stetson Bennett has 2 titles at Georgia. Yep. Sometimes, and what do those guys have in common? They can run the football a little bit. The quarterback run was another subplot of last night. No doubt about it for me. The ability for a quarterback to get a 3rd and 1 on a inside zone run play. It looks like it. I mean, both Notre Dame had success with it early and late when they went to it. And, Will Howard had success whenever he tried it. And so that was, other than Ohio State's overwhelming talent, Notre Dame's kind of gumption, I guess is the best word to put it, to come back. Those were the 2 major takeaways I had. The third was a running quarterback really helps you in short yardage. What did I think Ohio State finished like 9 of 10 on 3rd downs.
Yeah.
In that game. And part of it was the run game.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard connected on 5 3rd down runs in that game. I mean, for Notre Dame. QB run in the red zone and across every place on the field was clearly in play last night. And, it could be something that unlocks a Texas offense in short yardage next year with Arch Manning at the helm.
And by the way, one of the reasons I wanted to bring up all those draft picks is how different this Ohio State team is actually going to be. Like, look, they recruit top 5 classes, top 3 classes every year, but it's going to be a vastly different looking team than the one Texas played and the one Texas fans watched last night. I mean, you're going to lose, 9 guys off that defense will go on to the NFL, if not 10 right now, 10 starters. I mean, the only guy definitely coming back is Caleb Downs. You figure Sonny Styles will go pro. Maybe he'll stick around. But they're going to lose 9 or 10 guys off that defense, more than likely. So if they're lucky, they have 2 starters back. And then offensively, obviously, they have a lot of wide receiver talent, but it's the continuity of all of it, right? G. Scott, the flex tight end, who was a high 4-star receiver that kind of morphed into a flex tight end, gone. Their key blocking tight end, gone. Some of those offensive linemen, gone. Both running backs, gone to the NFL. As they should be. They won a national championship, by the way. So it's going to be a much different team that Texas plays in Columbus than the one we watched and the one Texas played against 15 days ago or so, 11 days ago. So that in the crazy thing about that game, guys, we talked about this last night. unless Ohio State goes to the portal, the most experienced quarterback in that game will be Arch Manning. If Julian Sands' a starter, his first collegiate pass is going to be in that stadium against Texas.
So after the game last night, for those that are listening, ESPN came out with their way too early top 25. Their top 5 consist of Ohio State, Texas at number 2, Penn State, Notre Dame at 4, and Georgia at 5. Others on Texas' schedule include number 18, Florida, and 22, Texas A&M. Of course, the Horns open on the road against the Buckeyes to start the season.
Hey, Bobby, my question here is, and I know Ohio State's defending champ, so some people are going to have them 1. Some people will have Texas 2 because they gave Ohio State the best game. But is there any part of you would start Penn State number 1 next year?
Yeah, a little bit.
Quarterback
they've got the quarterback and 2 running backs coming back. We'll see how heavily they're hit on defense because they're look, James Franklin's done a good job of recruiting up there. I will add that. They should have, I think, the majority of their offensive line back as well. They just lose Abdul Carter, their defense. And he's a little freaky. But look, Penn State has been replacing pretty freaky guys on defense with more fairly regularly under James Franklin. And so you think they're going to have some more. I think that probably Penn State goes in as a favorite of sorts. They were the ones in the semifinal or the quarterfinal. They were in the semifinal, right? Semifinal with their quarterback coming back. They're the only one that has that, right? Of Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. So I can see Penn State being there and being ranked number 1 next year. Texas certainly should be top 5. Of the teams that weren't in there, the one that Blake had put up on the screen that I think is interesting is Florida. Now, Florida was a hot mess on defense last year. Okay. But when Derek Lagway played for them, he helped them often control the games with a heavy run game and then throw it over the top. And he did it enough with his legs. If he stays healthy and Florida can just improve some on defense, Florida's going to be a dark horse in the SEC next year. I really believe that. So I think Georgia's going to be
they had a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah.
Florida was a team that had a ton of injuries. We'll see. I think does DJ Lagway, if they run him, is he going to stay healthy?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's going to be the key with all these guys. These longer seasons. But I agree. Florida should be a 9 or 10 win team next year because the schedule that was looked very difficult this year. With Florida State going down the tubes, UCF wasn't as good as expected. That schedule suddenly turns a little more favorable next year. It's the same teams by and large, but it looks a little more favorable next year for Florida with a second-year quarterback, second-year running back, by the way, too. But are they going to build those pieces? What's Eugene Wilson look like coming off his injury? Because he's an NFL slot receiver. They didn't have him much of the season, so they have a chance for sure.
I would add in this piece to be discussing, I guess, for everything that we've talked about. Now that the national championship game is over, we're now going to watch and see if the Ohio State defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, potentially takes the same position for Brent Venables at Oklahoma. That is the rumor on the street, especially in Norman right now, that Brent Venables has not hired his defensive coordinator replacement, in part because he's waiting on Jim Knowles, Ohio State's defensive coordinator, to be done. We do not know if that's the case. I don't have any particular insight on that. All I can tell you is that folks in Oklahoma are saying, well, his girlfriend or wife-to-be, fiance, lives in Oklahoma and works in Oklahoma, so he wants to move back to Oklahoma. He, of course, worked a couple of years for Mike Gundy as a defense coordinator in Stillwater. I don't know that to be the case, really don't. But that's something that we're going to be watching here over the next 24, 48 hours to see if Ohio State makes a move to lock him up. Heck, Jerry, we may be talking about a different Ohio State head coach this time next week because Ryan Day, based on his feedback he got after the Michigan game, I'm not so sure he's real positive about his tenure in Columbus. You know, there were people that had him on the street a month ago.
Yep.
Right? And now all of a sudden he's the belle of the ball. That may not do much for him. So we may see if he gets a head job in the NFL. We'll have to see.
Look, if he can get a job, he needs to take it. You got to know when to go, man. You just won a national championship. You're going to lose the bulk of experience off this team, and you get good players in the portal. It's Ohio State; they got really talented players. You say the same thing about Texas, but man, this is the time. If you're going to go, this is the time.
Do you take, if you're Jim Knowles? I guess he makes enough money. He doesn't. He can afford this risk, you know. But if you're Jim Knowles, do you really take a job that you're doing really well and making a lot of money at, okay, and go to Oklahoma where you may be out in a year? You get a guaranteed 3-year deal probably out of it.
Yeah.
But do you really do that? I don't know. I mean, couldn't he be potentially the next head coach at Oklahoma State too, by the way?
Maybe that's why he wants to get down there.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, it's interesting because somebody's put the salary of Knowles up in the chat. So Oklahoma would have to give him a 3-year guaranteed contract to get him to come, right? It probably $2.5 million a year, knowing they may fire their head coach. Is Oklahoma going to do that? I guess they would. I mean, but are they going to hire him, give him $7.5 guaranteed, and knowing in the back of their mind they may have to fire their head coach if things don't go well during the season? Maybe. I'm not sure I would if I was Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's a good question. But you got to give I think Oklahoma understands you got to give the coach that you have, even if it's dead money. You got to give the coach the resources he needs so he doesn't have an out when you go to firing.
Yeah.
You know, you got to give the man a chance so that when you do fire him, you have cause. You you didn't hire this. You didn't let me hire this guy. You didn't do, that sort of thing. You can't do that. It won't matter instead of it won't matter. That's pretty good. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Sandman, you want to write some jingles?
Yeah. Speaking of, what a great segue there for you, Jerry. How about talking about one of our sponsors this week, the great Mando?
Woo! You know what stunk last night? Notre Dame's offense in the first half. Now, they obviously listened to the show and went for the joy mode, but we're talking about Mando here. What do you love about Mando? Man, it is the best deodorant, the whole body deodorant. Well, I got my Mando shipped to me for these future reads. My son saw it, took it, said this stuff's awesome, took it. I don't know how he knew, but that just tells you where Mando is in the world. The youth know about Mando too. Look, it's safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and your feet. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor up to 72 hours. Who doesn't need that? A lot of offenses in college football needed that in the playoffs. Mando's deodorant product options. They are solid deodorant stick formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. Spray deodorant, aluminum free, and ideal for those hard to reach places. If you can't reach them, you can just spray up them. That doesn't sound like much fun. All products baking soda free and paraben free. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. I'd go with Pro Sport. I think Bobby's bourbon leather. What's Blake? Mount Fuji, maybe? Clinically proven to control better than a shower with soap alone 12 hours after a shower. The average man's, this is very important, the average man's Grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10. You want your Grundle odor at 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average Grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10, by the way. A 0. You want it at 0. So that is what we're talking about with Mando. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, New customers get 5% off a starter, $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code on Texas, all caps. Shop at shopmando.com. Take care of your grundle.
Your grundle. Your grundle. Okay, Jerry Hamilton. Good stuff.
It's going to be a new
I didn't write it. I just read it. But
hey, I got a question. Jerry, Texas coaches right now in recruiting. Obviously, they're not out and about in Houston based on the photos I saw just a few minutes ago and the weather down there. Where are they at? They didn't go out early in the week, right? But now they're out this later.
Well, they didn't go out in MLK Day yesterday, no school. So they're back out this morning in the DFW area. I think you're going to see the staff in the DFW area. They're starting this morning. Sark and Kyle Flood, Max right at Melissa told me they have early athletic period. I think they're going right now 7 to like 7:30 to like 9. So Sark and Kyle Flood should be at Melissa High right now. 2C Max Wright, the 6'7", 300-pound tackle, who will be at January 25th Junior Day. Then you'll see Sark, Flood make their way. Probably see Toa Katoa, see John Turntine. Those are 3. And here's Toa Katoa's junior season right here, all 6'3 and a half, 355 of them. It's really athletic for his size, can really move people. But they're going to be out and about today, seeing prospects. Look at the way he sits in that 3-point stance, man. That's very, very good flexibility, ankle flexion, hip flexibility for a big fella right there. So the Texas staff will be out and about in Dallas. I think you'll see Chris Jackson in Aledo to see Caden Finley. You'll see Blake Gideon probably at North Crowley. You see Aaron Bradshaw, the junior safety, who's starting to pick up offers, 6'3", 185. Then you'll see him and Terry Joseph probably at Panther Creek at some point today or tomorrow to see Jaylen Lot and Donovan Webb, the safety up there, who I think is a tremendous player. You'll see Kenny Baker, seeing Jamion Winfield. Corday Houston will probably get a look at Dallas South Oak Cliff, may make their way over to Monroe to see Dylan Berryman as well. But Texas staff will be out and about in the DFW area. Javian Osborne, some of those guys will be getting visits from the Texas staff the first part of this week. And then we'll see where they go. They disperse some out of state? Probably. I know there'll be a lot of out-of-state visits next week after the Junior Day this Saturday on the 25th. You'll have Tashard Choice, Kenny Baker in Georgia, in Florida, making their rounds there. I'm sure you'll see a Texas coach at IMG just stopping by, looking at all the prospects at IMG, and kids in Florida. Samuel Rosenborough at Clearwater High is expected to get a visit next week. So Texas staff in DFW the first part of this week, leading up to the Junior Day on Saturday, which will be the first Junior Day of the year. We expect 60, 70 kids probably. At that one, we have a listed on texasfootball.com that we're continuously updating. But Texas staff and DFW seeing top targets today and tomorrow for sure. And then I think they may disperse a little bit after that for the remainder of the week.
Hey, Jerry, it sounds – correct me if I'm wrong, because when you talk about Georgia and Texas recruiting players in Georgia, you have some very specific names and some specific players, whether it's a running back or defensive lineman, et cetera, that Texas is looking at. Is it more of a smorgasbord in Florida right now? Like they got to figure out who all like Naeem Burrows, the wide receiver, is a guy that you've come up with and talked about a couple times down there that's going to visit Texas. But it feels like it's more, we got to figure out who likes Texas and who Texas likes in Florida compared to Georgia right now. Would you agree with that? Because it kind of seems like that part of the equation hasn't been matched.
I think so. I think one thing is, so Texas had to really battle to hold on to their 25s in Florida. But so there's a defensive lineman at a private school, Sarasota, Cardinal Mooney maybe, named Elijah Golden. I would think Texas stops by and takes a look at him. Where they're at in that recruitment, we'll see. They haven't been by that school as much as maybe they would like to. Because it's just time and playing in the playoffs, right? They're a little more constricted as far as the time because they remain in the playoffs through the 10th. But, yeah, in Atlanta area, Tyler Atkinson, the linebacker, 5-star linebacker at Grayson, Amari Latimer, the running back at Sandy Creek there in Tyrone, Georgia, a little southwest of Atlanta. Then Tico Crittenden, the defensive lineman, Lithonia. But here's the thing. Atlanta's just loaded with kids. I mean, they're Bryce Perry Wright, the defensive lineman at Buford. So there's guys that Texas is bringing in for Junior Day. Bryce Perry Wright will be in for Junior Day. But they have those guys that they've been recruiting a while. They're trying to get Crittenden on campus. But in Florida, to your point, yeah, they just offered Trenton Henderson the edge from Pensacola Catholic, so they'll be back down there. But to your point, though, in that I-4 corridor, Orlando, Tampa area, I think they're going to be making some school stops looking at some of those 2026 kids. And it wouldn't shock me if we had 2, 3, 4 more offers. There were 3 new offers last week in the 26 class. It wouldn't shock me if we didn't hit 3 to 5 more offers here by the end of January.
Could be some this weekend.
Yeah.
Based on how they look in person. Don't forget, right, Jerry? Part of the things of what you get out of a junior day is the head coach can't go see all these guys, and you all of a sudden bring them in. You see Lance Jackson for the first time, you're offering that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He comes into your office, he's 6'6", 275, and you're thinking, yeah, I think he looks like he plays, So I feel like that's a good one. Did he just say it's snowing in Port Arthur?
Yeah,
that
is Padre too.
Port Arthur on the Louisiana coast is supposed to get the most snow of all. Like along I-10 South is like towards Baton Rouge from Port Arthur is supposed to get the most snow of anywhere, apparently.
Well,
and there's Laguna Beach Longhorn. There's Laguna Beach Longhorn making us jealous with his.
Yeah. Somebody wrote earlier, Amarillo -10.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My goodness. Ugh.
Well, we got a couple of recruiting questions I'm going to ask you, Jerry, while we're talking about recruiting, such as this one here from Roger G. He says, Jerry, do you think Aaron Gregory will make it to campus soon?
We'll see when Texas can get him to campus. That's been kind of the tough thing, is getting him to campus. Him and a teammate are committed to A&M. Do I think they ultimately sign with A&M? I put it less than 50-50, but we'll see where it all goes. But Aaron Gregory, one of the top receivers in the country. I put out a list on Texas Football, kind of a list at the wide receiver, look at the wide receiver board yesterday. Aaron Gregory is one of the best guys I've seen in that class, and Texas really likes him. They'll go out and pay him a visit next week. I'm sure maybe the end of this week, but probably next week. And we'll see if they can get him on campus in the spring. He's not scheduled to be in on this weekend as of today. But I do think they'll get him on campus at some point during this process again.
And then Corey J wants to know, is Lot a defensive back or wide receiver? And what does he want to play?
I think there's kind of a move towards corner is your best, highest upside position. He could play either effectively. He could play either one. I think he's a top 100 prospect in the country at either spot. But I do think there's kind of the move understanding that corner is maybe your highest upside position. And that's not saying he's not really good at wideout. He is. But just something to watch there. Terry Joseph is recruiting him for Texas. That's the position coach recruiting him and has been for a while. There are some schools that are trying to recruit him as a wideout. I think a little bit that combat against Texas being considered the heavy favorite.
I got to be honest. If they don't know what he wants to play at this point, that's a mistake on the coach's part. If they don't know that he's good to go at DB and they're recruiting him like a DB, I think that's a mistake on the coach's part. So I'm gonna lean that Texas has a good rapport with the father who played at Texas and who has friends. Like, by the way, James Lott. He has friends on not just on the Texas staff, but he has friends of dads who have players on the Texas team right now. Because they have sons playing on. It's just I feel like if Texas is messing that up, that would be just bad, because I think Jaylen Lott's a special player, guys. Let's put it out there. I think the length and the speed, he's got a chance. Hopefully he loves football. I don't know that yet. I haven't went by and, talked to the young man, et cetera. But if he loves football, he plays hard.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be a special player long-term. He's going to play football a long, long time.
A couple of other recruiting questions we had yesterday. We talked about Diab Bell quite a bit, but we're getting some more questions regarding him today. Jerry Kingme says, is Diab Bell going to take visits, trust the process? And then Ralph also wants to know, will he show up on the 25th?
Look, I just sent Dia a message. I saw that question from Ralph. He's scheduled to be in on the 25th. I haven't heard anything that's going to change. So I'll be surprised if Diab Bell's not in Austin this weekend.
And we don't know if he's going to take other visits yet. He hasn't said anything like that, right, Jerry?
I mean, not that I've heard. Not that I've heard.
Hey, I want to real quick hat tip to the women's basketball team. Texas women's basketball team played the number 8 team in the country yesterday. Okay, Texas is ranked number 7. Blake, I don't know if you know this. Do you know what the final score of that game was?
Yeah,
Texas number 7, Maryland number 8.
89-51.
Yeah. And I'm going to use the same line I used last night. Tom Herman thinks it's blasphemy you can blow out the Terrapins.
It's hard to win, Jerry.
What? You can blow out Maryland? The hell's going on here?
Hats off to Vic and the girls. All right, the women. That's phenomenal. That's really phenomenal. That's a big time win. And it was clear talking to him, Jerry, that he was aiming high this year. Like he knew he had a team. He's just got to get them to the finish line playing their best basketball in March, right? Because he's got Rory Harmon back. He's got a number of young players that are really talented that he's got to integrate into the team. He's got the transfer from Miami, who I thought is playing a real good season right now. But anyways, long story short, and Maddie Booker is doing Maddie Booker thing. So I feel like the women's team that score right there is to me indicative of a team that may have a little something extra in them this year, right, Jerry? You don't beat the number 8 team in the country by 38 and not probably have a little something extra in the tank come tournament time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be 100% about matchups for this team, I believe. If they come up against a team that throws a good zone at them and could score the basketball, is Texas going to make enough threes? That to me is what it's really going to come down to with this team. They made 1 3 against South Carolina on the road. You're not going to score enough points to beat South Carolina making 1 3. And they only took 5, but that's kind of where the game's at nowadays. I mean, and so it's going to really come down to matchups. I think Vic's got a team that can get to the Final Four, but with any of these teams, it's like so much of it. You come up against that one team that's a really bad matchup for you, and then you don't. Maybe what is your weakness? Well, Texas' weakness is they don't shoot the 3 well. So if they come up against that one team that's a bad matchup for them and they don't shoot it well in that game, you go home. But it all comes down to matchups, and Vic has a team that can get to the Final Four. They've just got to get their draw, but they're going to compete their butt off, and they're going to play hard on both ends of the court. They just have to play efficiently from the perimeter offensively to maximize this team.
All right, we got a couple of super chats that we need to jump over to real quick. Juan Garza says, this is the first time a former Urban Meyer assistant has won the national championship.
It's true. I mean, Dan Mullen, no. Charlie Strong, no. There's a few others, but yeah.
Tom Herman, no.
Tom Herman, definitely not no.
I got a question for you. Is he really he doesn't, when you talk about, is he really from do you really think he's from the Urban Meyer tree? I mean, he had 2 years working for Urban Meyer.
Right. He's more from the Chip Kelly tree.
That's what I'm saying. He worked for the Eagles, for the 49ers, played at New Hampshire. Chip Kelly was, I don't know that it's nice to say that he played for Urban Meyer, or that he is from the Urban Meyer tree, but I don't see that. I don't see that at all, personally. He spent 2 years with Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
And his formative years at New Hampshire. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Bobby, I'm going to let you talk about this tweet here from Ross Dellinger.
Oh, yes. This is one of the ones I wanted to bring up for everybody today. Ross Bjork, the former A&M AD, by the way, that just went up to Ohio State this summer. Let's look at this. Ross Dellinger, who we've had on the show before as a guest, tweeted this from a quote from Ross Bjork yesterday. You can have all the money, all the collectives you can have, but if you don't have a foundation of leadership and culture and chemistry, then it's not going to matter. We've seen programs spend a lot of money, some even more than us, and they didn't reach this. Is that a shot at A&M? His former team, maybe? There's no way he should go through on as far as Ryan Day is concerned. There's no way he should go through the stuff, especially his family. It's one thing to criticize play calling, but the personal stuff is uncalled for. And what I hope that people really take away from this is that we have the best coach in the country. Obviously he suffered the slings and arrows after the Michigan game, and probably rightfully so. Personal stuff notwithstanding, but his on-field coaching certainly deserves some critique. He just lost to Michigan, 4 straight times? That's like Mac Brown suffered slings and arrows when he lost to OU that many times in a row. I can tell you that much. So that's just normal. The part I really wanted to get at was this collective comment from Ross Bjork. Of course, teams, and people are going to say, well, if you have the most money, you're automatically going to win. I was going to ask you, when's the last time the Yankees typically spend as much or more money than anybody in baseball, right? When's the last time they won a World Series?
Yeah,
you're the baseball guy. 20 years?
Been a while.
Yeah, I mean, just because you spend the most money, okay, in football or in any sport, does not mean you're going to win the national championship. National championships are precious. Championships in general are precious. They take chemistry. Yes, they take players, and you get yourself in line to play those games. But I'm telling you right now, money is not the be-all, end-all when you start talking about championships. It takes more than just spending the most money. You have to have the right players and the right pieces executing at the right time. Does it matter? Yes, of course. It works for the Dodgers. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for the Yankees. So
16 years, by the way.
Yeah, you can spend bad money.
I think there's levels to it, right, Bobby? If you spend good money in the portal, it does help you get to the playoffs and give you a chance.
It's not just the portal, though. It's overall. He's talking about overall.
Yeah, I mean overall. Yeah, I mean it gives you a chance. That's the thing. I mean, the Dodgers and Yankees are always going to have a chance, right? But it doesn't mean you're going to actually hoist a trophy. But it definitely gives. Does Ohio State and Texas have an advantage? And would other teams, if they spent wisely and had good culture? Yeah, but it doesn't mean you're going to win it. To your point, I mean, it takes putting the whole thing together. I think coaching is more in college football is more difficult than it's ever been nowadays because there's so much information out there, whether it's correct or incorrect. There's guys in the locker room that think the guy 2 lockers down from them is making X amount of money, and they're not. And it is. There's guys coming in from the high school level that are going to be making more than some of the guys who've been starters for 2 years on teams. Coaching it, keeping your locker room together, keeping your culture tight, getting all the guys to play for one cause, I think is more difficult than it's ever been, probably in college sports, but definitely in football because there's so many guys on a roster and on a team and so many guys that impact winning for you. But if you can pull it off, I've had fun with Ryan Day on here, but if you can pull it off, you've accomplished something because it's hard. It's more difficult than ever to do, in my opinion, just because of where we're at in the landscape.
Yeah, my thought on it is there were, 10 to 15 teams that spent in the same category as Ohio State. Okay. A&M, one of them, and he knows it. Ross Bjork knows that because he knows what they spent, right? Even though he famously claimed they didn't pay anybody at one point, like a, numbnut. But the point being is just because you spend money doesn't mean it's good money. I mean, I've seen it happen way too many times, and that may be where we're going a little bit, Jerry, to, this idea that 10, 15, 20 teams that have a chance to do this. I think it's interesting. And the other thing that's going on right now in the NCAA is this transfer situation that I want to address somewhat that people need to understand. So the University of Wisconsin did not let a player put his name into the transfer portal because they believed twofold that they had a memorandum of understanding with one of their existing players and that the player was tampered with by the University of Miami. That memorandum of understanding apparently is one that all Big 10 teams are currently trying to use some version of that fits within their own state laws. And it talks about how they are going to guarantee future revenue once the revenue sharing agreement comes to pass. It's my understanding Texas is not using these kinds of agreements. There is no singular agreement circulating throughout the SEC right now. Whereas the Big 10, it almost looks like they're trying to work together to create like it was a 2-year deal. That was the other thing that was very.
Is that collusion?
That's what I'm trying to say.
They're gonna get taken to court and lose.
Well, that's not a good look. I'm just telling you, it's going to be. This is going to come out, and I feel like Wisconsin it feels like their player was tampered with, which Jerry and Blake, he probably was at some level. Now, maybe not officially, but I mean, look, Quinn Ewers was being quote unquote tampered with, even though it wasn't Quinn Ewers directly. It was through his agent and all this other stuff, right? But what's coming out right now is how flimsy this house settlement is. There are so many holes in it that they've just got to let the players collectively bargain. That is the bottom line. And until the players do that, this house settlement's going to be bonkers. I mean, I don't see how it's going to work to the benefit of the players and the universities. They still haven't got a win-win out of this. Yeah, there's still no win-win, and we're gonna go another year in college football with a rudderless ship. They're trying to sign guys to 2-year deals and buy all of their NIL rights, by the way. So they can't theoretically make any additional money outside of it unless they report it and it's agreed upon by the university. That's you can't do that, man. That's like an overreaching contract if I've ever heard of one. So they've got to find another way. The Big 10 is trying to flex its muscle right now. And dude, they do not want to go to court over this. I can just tell. I've read some stuff. I'm not a lawyer. Don't pretend to be one. They're in trouble. This whole idea that these memorandum of understanding is going to be legally binding when it hasn't even been passed yet is buying entire players' NILs and then having someone else have to approve it. It's not fair. Not fair to the players.
By the way, Diab Bell hit me back. He is attending. He's attending junior day. I just wanted to double check for those that asked, but yeah, I think things are good there.
Good stuff.
All right, guys, before we move on here, I'm going to let everyone out there know about Rocket Money. And you sign up for something, you forget about it after the trial period ends, then you're charged month after month after month. We've all been there. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them. Don't worry, you're not alone. I do it, and just about everyone else does it too. In fact, 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. Thanks to Rocket Money, though, I can see all of my subscriptions in one place and cancel the ones I'm not using anymore, and now I'm saving more money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. The subscription part is absolutely awesome. You can see all of them in one place. You know exactly where your money's going. And for the ones that you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. They have helped over 5 million users and have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. I use it. Bobby's told y'all that he's used it. It saved him a lot of money. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Just go to rocketmoney.com/game on today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. GAMEON. Rocketmoney.com/gameon. And we want to thank them for sponsoring.
I'm going to bring this one up because I think it's the what if game. But I will say this. Do they have a championship? I don't know, but I think they play for one. They've played for one. Then you have to go win the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially I don't know that in a one game situation, I think Texas with Cedric Baxter would have had a much better chance of winning against Ohio State.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still don't know if they get the job done, right? Because Ohio State could have reacted differently, whatever. But Jonathan Brooks against Washington would have mattered. I don't think he would have fumbled twice. I think he would have given him a little bit more of a thing. But now, would that Texas team match up well with last year's Michigan team? I don't think so.
I don't either.
And they were really, really dominant on defense. So I don't know if they have a championship. I think to Jerry's point, they may have played for one.
Yeah.
I can see that, Jerry.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing about this team this year is, it was so long ago, people forget Isaiah Bond, before he got hurt during the Oklahoma game, was on pace for a 1,000-yard season in an elongated season, a 14-game season. He was on pace for a 1,000-yard season. So you essentially, and then whatever happened after that happened, but you essentially lost your starting running back, who is a second-team All-SEC pick, who Nick Saban said was the best running back they went up against last year. And I think I'm not sure he meant as a runner, but just an all-around back. So you lost a guy that was one of a potential All-SEC running back. Then a guy who's having a 1,000-yard receiver and was key in your perimeter passing game went down and was never the same. So, I mean, Texas had to deal with more injuries on offense this year. And obviously, Quinn got hurt. Quinn got hurt every year, but Quinn did miss time again this year. So they had to deal with a little offensive adversity this year, more so than in the past years.
We got some more super chats we're going to need to get to. Parth Brooks, thank you for your super chat as always. David Morris' interview last week was great. I gained a lot of respect for Riley Leonard last night. The dude's a gamer.
He really is. That's a really good way to put him, too, by the way, a gamer. Because he came out of the gate and he carried 9 times on the first drive. Dude, quarterback run 9 times out of 18 plays to score a touchdown right out of the gate. Then they shut down the quarterback run, and he did not look good throwing the ball in the middle part of that game, Jerry. He was off, looked awkward. It got into that fourth quarter. He made some really nice throws.
Yeah.
By the way, we need it. So, Parth, I agree. Parth, by the way, said he was from Westlake earlier. Hats off to Jaden Greathouse.
Yeah.
The Westlake young man from Westlake had a great game in the national championship. Led all receivers, over 100 yards receiving. Congratulations to him in his career at Notre Dame, having a great career there.
I'm going to, by the way, off that conversation, David Moore's conversation, while we're talking, Blake's going to look up a huddle for us that we're going to play, which I think could be a 2027 quarterback offer that comes here. And I'm not saying tomorrow, maybe this spring, this summer, though. But we're going to give you guys a first look at Gunnar Rivers, Phillip Rivers' son, who trained some with David Morris as well.
Well, I got it ready, so let's just go ahead and jump right on into it here if I can get my screen to act right.
So Gunnar Rivers here, Fairhope, Alabama, private school down there, plays for his dad, Phillip Rivers. We talked to David Morris about a number of subjects of QB country out in Mobile, training Arch, training KJ Lacey, training Riley Leonard, and he trains Gunnar Rivers some as well. Obviously, Phillip Rivers has worked with his son over the years, too, as the head coach of Gunnar Rivers. But A.J. Milwau's been by the school to see Gunnar Rivers, who's about 6'3", 180 here as a sophomore. I think he's a guy that I could see Texas ended up offering if Phillip Rivers says, yes, we have real interest here. You know, it's not just going to – this isn't one of those offers you make to get somebody on campus. Look, if Texas offers Rivers, they've had conversations with Phillip and said, yes, Texas is a real possibility for my son. But This kid's really talented. He's going to be one of the best in the country. NC State was the first to offer him, as you'd expect. Auburn's since offered him. He may have other offers that aren't publicized, kind of like the Mannings didn't publicize offers. It's going to be the same with Rivers to a certain extent, but pretty good scheme fit, Bobby. He makes all the throws. He's going to be one of the best in the country. Look at the way he manipulates the pocket to create angles. Really good player.
Yeah. He's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is sophomore footage.
Sophomore footage this year.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
I can tell you right. The way you use the term correctly, manipulates the pocket. Look at that. Just drifts a little left.
Yep. Just to create his angle. Just to create his optimal angle.
Yeah. Moves up in the pocket, steps in. Yeah. That's what you don't see a lot in a lot of Texas high school quarterbacks. I want to say that is they don't have to manipulate the pocket. It's just one step and throw.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I say that, so he had to move a little left there, just a scoot. I mean, it's interesting, man. We'll see how it goes.
Somebody's saying throws like Quinn. He doesn't. His arm angle is about 90 a lot of the time. Just if you watch, his arm angle is close to 90 a lot of the time. Now he's a young quarterback. If he has to load up, he has to load up, but. He's at 90 a lot of times. He gets the ball out really quick, and he's got a higher carriage.
I was going to say he carries the ball even when he's moving with it. He carries the ball high even when he's moving with it. He doesn't drop it.
Yeah.
This
kid's going to be really good. See, that ball's at 90. That's a short arm action that he's showing as a young player. Obviously, that's drilled into him. Arch is the same way. Kyler Murray was the same way, drilled into him through his dad. Those guys keep the ball at 90, especially as they get older and get stronger. This kid's a good player. So I didn't even see the mascot, Texas Chico won. I didn't notice the mascot.
Who's their mascot?
I don't even know. She's got a better eye for this than I do. I hadn't even noticed the mascot.
I didn't see it either.
But yeah, good player here, guys. This is an offer. If there's legitimate interest, this is an offer. Hey, we're going to offer you come to campus. This is real conversations. This would be if Texas offers. Phillip Rivers has told Texas we have real interest and we're going to come see you. Good player. If he grows to 6'5", he's going to be up for your number one player in the country in that class.
That's a good. Thank you for saying that, because I was wondering how high is this guy. And I was thinking, I haven't seen anything that tells me he's not going to be great yet. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a throw now.
Yeah.
That's 60 yards opposite hash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making high-level throws as a young kid in a high-level offense. His dad's asking him to make high-level throws.
He's yet to run the ball.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of athleticism or anything?
I'm going to go see him this spring. So I think he's functional athlete, but a pocket passer is a functional athlete.
Okay. Yeah, his dad was that way.
Yeah. Yeah, really good player, though. There's been a lot of quarterbacks offered around the country. There's been a few committed in this class. It won't shock me if this guy doesn't end up.
He's 27, not 26.
27, yeah.
Okay. So 26 is Diab Bell already.
Yeah.
For Texas. Who's the guy that went to Ohio State? Is that Brady Edmonds?
Brady Edmonds from Huntington Beach. He was the guy that tore it up at Texas camp this summer, and Texas offered him. He committed to Ohio State. Texas has an offer out to Peyton Houston, the quarterback at Shreveport Evangel, who's been on the radar since he was in 8th grade. Somebody's asking, who is this? This is Gunnar Rivers. This is Phillip Rivers' son. He's a sophomore down in Fairhope in the Mobile area. Yeah, he's going to be a good one. I just wanted to bring that up because people have asked about it. David Morris mentioned him, but we didn't bring up the huddle when we were talking about him.
Good stuff. I could watch his highlights all day. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
He looks like he understands it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Jerry. Thank you for doing that.
We got some more super chats, guys. This one here from Justin Yarbrough. And he says, which player or position group do you think needs the best spring?
That's a great question. Bobby, tight end, cornerback.
solidify corner opposite Manny Muhammad for sure. I think defensive tackle. What do you really have in Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw at this point, plus the young guys? Like, for example, Alex January is probably trending to be ready for next year, right, at defensive tackle. But what about these young guys? Sharma, Charles, are they ready? Can one of them kind of, create more issues based on timing that you didn't necessarily expect? But I'm going to go different than all of that. I'm going to say offensive line. And I'll say that because of the cohesiveness needed there. I think in some of those teams and units can be individual play, but I'll go offensive line. I think they have to come together because there's only one returning starter. They got to figure out if Cole Hudson or Con Robertson or whoever is going to be center. They got to figure out every other position other than left tackle and right guard. And maybe they flip-flop DJ Campbell and move him to left guard. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'd go O-line at this point.
Somebody's asking, Texas have intentions for Lance Jackson at tight end? No, he's playing defense. To the best of our knowledge.
As of right now.
And I think that's where his upside is. I think he's he could be a hell of a tight end. But look, you aren't gonna take this class and have Lance Jackson and Nick Townsend both as tight ends. Not in the SEC. One of those guys, I think Nick Townsend's your tight end. And I think Lance Jackson is your power end that will be really good in the NASCAR package as a interior rusher as well. He's got too much upside, I think, in this scheme defensively.
All right, we got some more super chats here. This one from Jack. Thank you, Jack, as always. Hey, y'all, come to cross snow. It's warmer, but love parts of Texas getting snow.
Look, I'm literally watching outside the window while we're doing this show, and it's snowing harder than it has at any point in time right now. This is wild for Houston, Texas.
We
may have to shut down the rest of January. We may have to come back in February and restart this thing.
It's like the show with the Year Without a Santa Claus, where Heat Miser is allowing snow to come to the warmer part of the world. That's what's happening right now in Houston.
Hey, absolutely. There's a lot of Michael Terry talk, and our little snowflake Jerry can't handle it. That's true. I do not like cold weather. There's a reason I live as close to the equator as I could for a while. But Michael Terry's going to be an interesting player this spring because he's starting his career at wide receiver at Texas. He worked out at wide receiver for the bowl practices. Will Texas move him around? Could he be a bigger back in a pony package for Texas? Could he be a red zone back if he answers the bell physically in the Power 5 level immediately? He's almost got to do that, Bobby, immediately for them to say, okay, this could be an option for us at running back at times in short yardage goal line. It can't be, well, maybe he will fall into this role in 2 years and we're going to get him there. And that's not the way it would work. It'd have to be this spring. He answers the bell physically on the Power 5 level, SEC level, and they're like, this guy could have value doing X, Y, and Z for us. I think it'll be interesting to see what Michael Terry, where he ultimately ends up long term.
Jerry, here's another one. I want you to. Do you know about this kid?
I know of him. I haven't seen him in person yet, but I know of him. He's talented, very talented.
Okay, but that's a 2020. He's a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
He's already been offered by Oregon and TCU as a freshman in high school. Says Texas is his dream school. That's high level stuff. Already have those offers.
David Keith Williams, and I hate to do this because I love So-So, but I want to say this. I get where he's going with it, but I hope not, because So-So was not physical enough long term. But I see where he's going with it. I hope Terry's the more physical player than So-So.
Well, but So-So also came out as a running back.
Played running back, the whole way through.
Signed with UCLA.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry, before we move on, can you let everyone out there know about Gooder, one of your favorite products?
Well, I don't need him today, but I need him most days living in Texas. Why Gooder, you ask? Stylish sunnies starting only $25 a pair. That's right. If you lose them in the ocean, no biggie. It's not $500 pair of glasses. You're diving down, getting sand all in your eyes, looking for your glasses. Nope, you just get another pair. No slip, no bounce, all polarized and all fun. 1-year warranty. I got to read it. 30-day free returns. You won't need it. 3 new high-performance styles. The Bolt G, the Bug G, and the Astro G. All 3 frames have UV 400 polarized lenses. High-performance sunglasses designed to make you feel like the best athlete of all time. And I'm pretty sure all of us in the chat need to feel that way, right? The Astro G, which we'll talk about, it's Blake's favorite because the Astros fan he is. Shield sunglasses that prove the sky isn't the limit. Nothing is the limit. Epic is a lifestyle. Fully adjustable nose piece. No slip temple grips, anti-fog coating. If you want to support the show and try a pair, Gooder is giving On Texas Football, all caps, listeners free shipping. Go to gooder.com/OnTexas. Use code OnTexas for free shipping. I got to read it. 30-day money-back guarantee. You can throw that away. 100% satisfaction. Battle tested and approved here. Again, gooder.com/OnTexas, all caps for free shipping.
Good stuff. All right, Greg Bell, the
How
temperature
are
is up.
Astros going to be this year, Blake?
-11. Probably they'll beat the Rangers, I'm sure, if last year's any indication.
-11 to 9 degrees
Wow.
in Colorado Springs, guys.
Wow.
Gee, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I couldn't do it, man. I just don't think I could do it. I went out yesterday and I walked on my grass and my grass crunched. Have you ever done that? It's so cold, your grass freezes a little, and you walk on your grass and it goes crunch.
Yeah.
I hate
by the way, still blizzard in Houston. I just keep looking at it. Make it stop. And I don't care. Josie has fun with me. We have fun with each other. I just don't want the power to go, that's my whole thing.
That would be hard. Then you start having some real issues if the power has an issue.
Somebody asked if I have a snow cycle. I do not.
A lot of people asking about Jonah Williams if he'll get playing time in baseball. He's still injured. Just checked on him this morning, actually. So we'll see. It depends on how he continues to heal up. Ran Rodriguez with the super chat. I feel like Texas is struggling to land high-profile offensive linemen. What are the chances that we get 2 of those high-profile offensive linemen this recruiting cycle?
I mean, look,
Baker was a 5-star last year. So I don't know, top 50 recruit in the country. I don't know that they're struggling, Rand. I mean, they missed on Fasusi this year. Maybe Lamont Rogers, if you put him in that category. But I wouldn't use the term struggling. I'll just put it that way. But Jerry Turntine went to A&M over the weekend.
Yeah.
Is Ojo or Oho, however you say that? Nacho was like from Maryland or something.
He's a freak, by the way. We should put his huddle on just for the fun of it. But I mean, look, Texas has tried with a guy like that, a unicorn like that. We'll see if he ever shows up on campus. But Turntine, Felix Ojo, Max Wright, everybody that's come through to see Max Wright's offered. In Michigan, everybody's offering that's coming through to see him. All those kids, this offensive line class in the state is going to be really highly ranked nationally. So meaning Turntine, if you don't have him as a 5-star, you're wrong. He's a 5-star prospect. People are going to ding him because of his height, which is stupid. The guy's going to be a great player. Ojo's going to be a highly ranked guy with a lot of upside. I think it may take him a little longer to get there. He's going to have to get a lot stronger, maybe similar to Trevor Gooseby in that regard. Just got to add that strength to your frame. Is this Iheanacho? Oh, Bobby, this guy is a freak now. 6'7" and 348 at Under Armour game as a junior. But you want to talk about somebody that just annihilates people. I mean, is this what Jonathan Ogden looked like in high school? I mean, this guy has a chance to be an all-world type of player, in my opinion. He's just naturally so strong and moves so well. He's so light on his feet for his size. So has Texas tried to recruit him? Yeah. Will Kyle Flood go see him? We'll have to see. But the kids in state are really good in this class. And Texas offered Cody Green out of Mater Dei, who's committed to Oregon, who probably will show up on campus. Sam Utu, the offensive tackle at Orange Lutheran, who's going to be a top 100, 150 level kid in the country, also a volleyball player. I'm sure he'll be on campus. The big offensive tackle that's ranked in the top 100, 150 in the country from Hawaii, Honolulu, Johnny Nansen went out to sea last week. He's talking about getting on campus as well. So Texas is going to have a strong offensive line class this year. The question is, do they get their musket guy in turn time? We shall see. I think they've been at a good place for him. As Ivory Martin's turn time looks small at 280. Look, turn time's going to be a 6'3.5", 305-pound guy that moves like a tight end. I'm not even worried about his size. The guy's a great player in space. He's an aggressive kid. He's a finisher. John Turntine's going to be a great player. He may just be at 6'3.5", 305, 310. But Kelvin Beacham's been starting in the NFL, 9 years at that size at tackle. This guy's a beast, Bobby.
This is the left tackle here because they don't have the ring around him. It didn't take long for me to figure out who he was. I'll just put it that way. Look, size. We can talk about size all you want at offensive line. The problem that we've discussed is you can have all the size you want, but if you're not strong and powerful, what good does it do you?
Yeah.
I mean, Texas couldn't run the ball up the middle at times this year, and we think a little bit of that had to do with lack of strength at the point of attack for a couple of players. And so I'm not – size isn't everything. It is a leading indicator typically, right? But it's not everything. And so we'll especially not at left tackle where you're trying to protect the quarterback's backside. So I'm fine with that. This young man is a really, really talented player.
This guy's a freak.
Yep.
I'd
still take Gunnar Rivers over him though, based on what I saw. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Gunnar Rivers was a good play. That's a hell of a prospect right there, dude.
Look at this, -23 in Wyoming overnight.
Dang.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't see how you can do that. Okay, let's see here. We'll take a few more before we get out of here. Lando Griffin, what room do you think will be the most improved?
I've been on this one already, and it's nothing against the guys who just graduated. I think linebacker is going to make a big jump next year at Texas. Big. And I don't think it was bad this year, but you have Anthony Hill year 3, Leon Golafal year 3, Anthony Smith makes a big jump year 2 as he continues to get bigger. Brad Spence, a versatile guy's added to that, who's been a very good SEC player. Then you bring in Elijah Barnes. You bring in another Anthony Smith light guy and Jonathan Cunningham. I think linebacker is going to be take a big step next year. And it's, again, nothing against the guys that graduate. It's just part of the recruiting and a program building process. Kind of like Edge. Took Edge a while, but look at it now.
You want my controversial answer?
Quarterback.
Yep. Just saying. I mean, I think there's Quinn, great Longhorn, and going to go down in history. I think there's room for that position to be improved upon. More so than even linebacker, frankly. I mean, because I think that part of that may have been Quinn's. He didn't have the receivers downfield. I think that he had 2 previous years with Worthy and Mitchell. I mean, Golden was basically he was the one guy, and then they went to Moore a little bit. But Moore will be better. Wingo will be better next year. You think they might get somebody in the portal. We'll see in the spring if anybody goes in. I'll just put it out there. I think he has a chance, guys. I think quarterback has a chance to be the most improved position.
How do you think the transfer DTs will perform? I think Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw are going to be really good over the ball, shade, tilt players. I think Shaw can also play some 3 against the run because he's got the first and second step quickness. I think those 2 guys are going to be very good holding point of attack guys against the run. And the key thing is Texas needs Cole Brevard to take 2 because they have really talented guys around somebody who takes 2. Bobby, I mean, Colin Simmons, right? Trey Moore, Anthony Hill. you can really open up your defense. They need Cole Brevard to be that guy over the ball that takes two. If he takes two, playing that shade, that tilt, I think that's really opens things up. But I think both those guys are going to be solid players against the run again on the Texas schedule. Like you go up against Jaden Ball. Bobby was talking about Florida earlier with DJ Lagway. You gotta win the line of scrimmage in the A gaps in that game because Jaden Ball will run it downhill on you. Georgia's going to try to run it downhill on you. Ohio State with a first-time starting quarterback, they may have to try to get that done too. So I think Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw are going to be solid players against the run.
I do want to say, if I can find that comment, where did it go? Oh, Mason Like Sports has been watching y'all since the 2023 season, and it's my birthday today. Hook 'em. Happy birthday to you, Mason.
Happy birthday.
Mason, I hope you're having a great birthday, buddy. No better day than January 21st. Whatever that day is, today's your day, bud. Congratulations.
And then one other one, Bobby, for you before we get out of here. Anything new coming to the OTF brand this year, like a website design, new merchandise, etc.?
Yes. The answer is there anything new? Here's something I've always believed in, no matter what business I've run or helped run, whether it's at Rival. Hey, there's the merch. Shop.ontexasfootball.com. Please feel free to check in. We still have some mugs, by the way, that are out there, as well as those hats. We will have new things, but I wanted to say this about our business, and Jerry and Blake, you guys as big a part of it as anybody. The one thing that I've always believed in is you have to improve each and every year. And you kind of set your tone early in a season for what you want, or early in the year for what you want your eventual final product to be by the end of the year. And Jerry knows this because I've been talking to him behind the scenes about a lot of things. We've got a lot of plans to keep improving the product for you guys, keep bringing more talented people to you guys, and people that can articulate it, that have passion for the University of Texas, that are also played the game, those sorts of things. I thought adding Brian Robus into the post game this year was tremendous for people. I thought putting Bob Shipley in a more consistent role was something that we did this year. Just a lot of different pieces as we got this business really up and off the ground. But 2025, we're getting ready for it, and we're excited about the future. We should have some announcements, not just announcements, but you'll see little changes along the way as we kind of move into this year. But thank you for asking that, King Me. But we're always going to be trying to improve. That's just something I've learned in 20, 25, 30 years plus of business. Because the minute you stop improving and trying to look inward and see what you can do better is the minute you stop growing. And look, I'm 55 years old, and I wake up every day excited about what I do, but also with the understanding of who and what I'm doing it for. And so my vision for what On Texas Football can become is not complete yet. I'll just put it that way. I don't know what it's going to end up being 5-10 years from now, but it's not complete today. No. So we're gonna keep reinvesting in this product 100%, and hopefully bring you guys something y'all can all enjoy with us.
All right, and El Conquistador Tony Hills will be on tomorrow as well. He'll be back, so be sure to tune in.
We're scheduled to have another special guest tomorrow, which will you never know, things can change, weather, but if he comes on, it's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, before we get out of here, we got to play this video real quick. This took place.
Oh my gosh, Bobby.
The national championship last night. This video courtesy of Patrick Greenfield from AL.com is where it came from. So I want to give credit to him. But after
you deserve it, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
And then it broke the wheel. Can't get that thing.
Ryan Day's going to the post-game press conference.
Hey, you know what's crazy? I mean, he wasn't far off from having a broken ankle. It's like, you know what that brought? Look at Will Howard. He's like, but dang, that felt like a Kansas State game. All right, you know what's crazy? That brought back the memories. Remember when Coach Amendola once stayed at Decaney and with the runaway
the cart
thing through Texas Stadium? Literally flipped him up on it. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen at a football game. For those that haven't seen it, Blake, you got to look that up. Look up Coach Amendola State Championship. The side eye from Ryan Day is hilarious. By the way, I asked this last night while Blake looks this up. If we can find video, this was absolutely wild. I said this last night on our watch with us. How's it possible that his beard is darker than a black Nike hoodie? Is that even possible? I didn't know that was even possible, man.
He uses that Ohio State barber clearly in the locker room. You know,
the runaway cart. Have you found it, Blake?
Oh, don't. That thing makes me a little sick. I got to be honest.
I found a picture, but I can't find video that I can
do it. Don't do it, because that actually upsets me a little bit. That's like this. He could have broken an ankle. That guy could have died.
But it was amazing how athletic he was in that scenario. He literally. The thing was a runaway. It had no driver. It hits him in the butt, kind of flips him up onto the cart, and he's sitting there holding off the side, trying to get the wheel and get control of it, and then he just has to jump off. People definitely people got lucky on that.
Yeah,
it was crazy to see live. It was crazy.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football. We want to thank you all for tuning in, for the great questions, the super chats. Also, a big thank you to Rocket Money, Mando, and Gooder for sponsoring today's show. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live or post content. But remember, we can't be on here all the time. So go join the discussion over at ontexasfootball.com. If you're not a member, you can become one very easily. Just use promo code OTFOG. You'll get a full year for $49.95. Again, promo code OTFOG at ontexasfootball.com. And then don't forget about the shop too. Like I said yesterday, you probably spent a lot of money on other people for Christmas. Now get something for yourself. Well, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.